What's up, y'all? It's 10 at 3 time in Tennessee. How are you? Hope you're well. Hope everything in your life is going really well on this Friday afternoon, Friday, December the 5th, 2025, 12/5/25. Not quite a palindrome, but sort of in that ballpark.
I guess you could say that. Yeah, it's not really.
I mean, it's not, but
it's
like
not at all actually.
But it's in the ballpark, kind of.
It got close.
Fun story here is Wes Rucker here with Tom Barclay, the Lord of the Streams, here at the 10 Streaming Center, as I want to call it, the 10 Streamerfeller Plaza, and I've been told repeatedly I cannot refer to it as that.
You cannot.
I cannot. I'm not allowed to. But I like to point out that I'm not allowed to call it the 10 Streamerfeller Plaza. Just so we're clear, not allowed to call it the 10 Streamerfeller Plaza. There's other things I could call it. I cannot call it
Trying
that.
to pull a Food City Center on us over here?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Although they've not paid me a dime. One of our many corporate overlords have not done that. But nonetheless,
a Sears Tower on us?
Yeah, there you go. Fun story about palindromes. My son was born on like the only day in like a long period that was not going to be a palindrome, because he was born on 12/10/21.
Mm-hmm.
So if he'd been born like anywhere like a couple days, like the day after that or any of the days before that, it would have been a palindrome. And he wasn't. And so that's always kind of bothered my wife just a little bit. But we got a fun weekend planned. Although we have one holiday party this evening. We have our work holiday party scheduled for this evening, and I'm going because, fun story here, Tom, I usually prefer at this age to spend the free time that's there, like, kids asleep, everything's good, no work to do. I like to watch BBC war documentaries with my dog. That's kind of that's what he and I both prefer to do.
The dog enjoys it too?
Loves it. Absolutely loves it. He's always, like, we both know who's going to win the war, but we still kind of want to see the story just to see how it goes.
Fair.
But I'm going to the work holiday party tonight because my wife's also having her work Christmas party this evening.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of our bosses may follow me on the socials, and if they saw any pictures from us at my wife's holiday party and then we didn't go to our own work holiday party, I think that might be seen as untoward. So basically, that is why I will be at the WBIR holiday party this evening. I've heard it's great. What's it supposed to be like? What's our attire supposed to be? Do you know?
It's usually just holiday casual. There's no.
I think something on the invitation says something about slightly upscaled, like some sort of like a business casual. It's like what were we doing before? Wearing tank tops.
It's just what we normally wear to work anyway, for the most part.
Before, so here's what I've thought of before we get into the sports topics of the day. This will be my first WBIR holiday party, so I'm trying to. You just tell me how close I am to the mark here on what to expect at a WBIR holiday party. I have thought about like somewhat like not a dark room, but sort of dark-ish.
Yeah.
Maybe some little holiday lighting, like a little bit of red, some mixed in with like some golds and like, it's a holiday party, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought big dance floor, DJ, lots of shots being poured over liquid ice sculptures, elves dancing in cages from the ceiling, and lots of Pony by Genuine playing. Am I close?
You're way off the mark. I don't think I've ever seen it get much rowdier than
I just had this. I just had this thought in my head. I mean, I don't know. I just had this thought in my head.
I don't know what you're expecting, but it definitely ain't that. It's about as just straightforward holiday party as you get. And
I'm hoping that I didn't see none of the youngsters are in here with us today. It's like, do you even know what Pony by Genuine is? Surely that iconic dance song has made it down through a generation or two. Surely that's made it.
I don't know, I think things move way too fast these days.
If they don't, I would hope if they don't know the name, they at least know the beat. I would hope that they know it. I would hope. I don't know. I would hope that they know it, but they don't. If they don't, if y'all are listening over there in the newsroom, please come over here and tell us. Either send me a text or a message, or because I'm pretty sure one of the bosses is about to come in and give me a shot collar. So before that happens, please, will you please tell me whether y'all know that? We got a lot of actual sports to discuss, though. We got a bit of a, I don't want to call it a grab bag, a bit of a Friday potpourri here, a relaxed fit Friday edition of 10 at 3. We got, by the way, congratulations are in order. This is Blue Cross Bowl weekend down there in Chattanooga. Lots of, let's see, there's 9 state titles, I believe, being played for here between the 6 public school and the 3 private school leagues, basically. Thursday was the private school day, and no wins for Knoxville or the Knoxville area in that one. Not surprising, the private schools in the Chattanooga and Nashville areas were stronger this season. But congratulations are nonetheless in order. In single A, Nashville Christian beat University School Jackson 59-7. Bit of a rout there. Bit of a local brawl there in Division II 2A. BGA Battleground Academy beats FRA Franklin Road Academy 61-27. And then in the AAA game last night with Peyton Manning and I'm guessing Josh Heupel and Tony Vitello and a bunch of others in attendance, Baylor defeated Brentwood Academy 28-24. There's a lot of Tennessee either signees or recruits in that game between those two schools. And, of course, DDG, who's one of the best high school running back prospects I've seen in a long time, had, I think, about 210 all-purpose yards and a couple touchdowns last night in that game. Obviously, Gabe Osenda, a couple other Tennessee either signees or prospects were playing in that game. And then this morning, today, you get a little bit more East Tennessee flavor, a little bit of Knoxville area flavor in the games today. Unfortunately, not off to a good start. This morning / early afternoon, it was a 3A title game. Martin Westview beat Gatlinburg Pittman 62-21. GP did win 14 games, nearly ran the gamut, but then
amazing season,
just
truly,
and then ran into unfortunately a really, really, really good Martin Westview team. Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson's younger brother Graham Simpson is a 2028 prospect there, who I think they had nine Blue Cross Bowl records in that game. What Simpson did, unbelievable. 18 of 21 passing, 566 yards, and 7 touchdowns. And then 3 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown. That's a pretty good day's work. Pretty good. And I'll tell you, if young Graham, he's going to be a good prospect no matter what. If he can get just a little bit taller, which could happen. He's a sophomore. He's a 2028 prospect. Mm-hmm. Boys that age continue growing, sometimes up until they're 19 or 20 in some cases. He's like 5'11 and a half right now, not quite 6 feet tall. If he can get just a couple inches taller, it's a nice prospect. Because Ty's not like super tall either, but he's a little taller than his younger brother. But I'll tell you, 18 to 21, 566 yards, 7 touchdowns. And then 3 carries, 46 yards, and a touchdown. That is a day's work. I mean, tip your cap to that performance. That's just unbelievable. I think, like I said, 9 records in the Blue Cross Bowl were set there in that game. Just an unbelievable performance. And it's not like Martin, Tennessee is a place historically flowing with athletes. So, I mean, what they've done there, he and his brother, and they're both, by the way, the sons of Jason Simpson, UT Martin head football coach, a guy I covered back when he was the offensive coordinator for the Chattanooga Mocs early in his career and early in my career, kind of paths intersected there. And so I enjoyed covering him there. Good guy. And he's obviously helped his sons develop into really nice football prospects. Just about, I think it starts about the same time as we started this show right now, is the 1A title game with South Pittsburgh against McKenzie. And if you're from South Pittsburgh or Marion County, you know that they're called Spit. They even call themselves that, Old Spit. They're playing for the 1A title against McKenzie at 3 p.m. And then tonight, Elijah Nixon, who was at the Westview GP game, will also be tonight at the Sevier County and Page game. That's the 5A title game. A good one. That's a really game. The old Smoky Bears playing Page there for the 5A title at 7 p.m. And then tomorrow, got one more East Tennessee one in action, perennial power Alcoa.
You just know it. And going up against Pearl-Cohn, which they've in the past have had some success against.
Yes, Ron Slay's Pearl-Cohn Tigers. I think they're Tigers. I don't want to say that wrong, but I know they're.
So this is kind of a championship rematch, if you will,
yes,
right? They played them back in in the game that Gatlinburg with Pittman was playing, right?
Yes,
that's right.
And you can't and it's funny because you can't say annual state champion Alcoa, but pretty close.
Pretty close. Hey, it's been like how many decades of championships?
I mean, winning all the 2A titles and all the 3A titles, now all the 4A titles.
Keep moving it up. They just got to keep moving to a higher tier. It's like boxing. You know?
It's like some point, and like that whole town, that whole team comes from like a 3-block radius, and every stinking year. Well, actually, I say that there's open enrollment in Blount County, so they can sometimes, if you live in Blount County, but not necessarily in Maryville or Alcoa, you can matriculate your way to Maryville and Alcoa if you want. But a bulk of that team comes from that same few blocks, and it's just incredible what those guys do every year. And then tomorrow, the other team that shares a county with Old South Pittsburgh, Marion County, plays Huntington in the 2A title game. They're at 3 p.m. And, you know, that the old story there, South Pittsburgh, they call Marion County Jasper because they're both in Marion County, and the people in South Pittsburgh don't like that Jasper has the town that has the school named after the county. So they don't call them Marion County, they call them Jasper.
Okay.
And so Marion County and Huntington play for the 2A title. And then a great game to wrap it up tomorrow night at 7 p.m. down there at Chattanooga's Finley Stadium. It's Oakland and Ravenwood for the 6A title. They're another Nashville area good old slugfest there for 7 p.m. I got to say, a little disappointed in my Catholic Fighting Irish not having a great season. There's a lot of good players there. Tyreek King's there. You've had a lot of signees over the years. Guys, it's time to – and I know that the Baylors, the BAs, I know Baylor's team in McCallie, those guys, like, they're not even a best of Tennessee team. They're like best of North America team. They've literally got 3 or 4. They've got a bunch of Canadians who are really good. They got a couple guys from Mexico. They got guys from all over the place that go into those great boarding schools. And, hey, no rule against it, but they are loading up. Those two, and they're running back now, DGG, that young man, one of the best high school running back prospects I've seen since maybe Derrick Henry. He is just unbelievable. Brentwood Academy did yeoman's work to hold him to, 210 in the title game between, I think, 150, 155 rushing, maybe 60 receiving. Unbelievable. To hold him to that, this kid could go for 400 or 500 yards in a game. Like, he's one of the best I've seen. His combination of kind of vision, strength, power, the way that he'll just run away from you. You're talking about a guy who can do everything at that position. The line, the cue to recruit that fella, the NIL opportunities for that fella. Wow. He is, he could be, we'll see, could be number 1 overall prospect in America. Could be, I think should be the number 1 overall running back prospect in America. He's the kind of prospect that if I see, and I think there might be 1 or 2 services that have a running back ranked above him, and I would like to see that kid's film, because if you're better than this kid, your film better look like Reggie Bush's, which to this day, the Reggie Bush highlight film when he was at high school in San Diego, it's spoken of almost like, it's like Metallica's Black Album. It's it's one of those like, Thriller by Michael Jackson. It's one of those like iconic, unbelievable, no skip albums, but in football tape form. Reggie Bush's high school highlights are, imagine Reggie Bush, how good he was at USC, and then imagine him doing that to high school kids. That's what it was. A guy who just looked like he was one step in any direction from being at full speed. Unbelievable balance, speed, just, if you've not seen Reggie Bush's highlight film, if you're too young to remember that, go search that in your search engines. That will, and then clear off some time to enjoy one of the coolest things you'll ever see. It's one of those things where you watch it, because all high school film, if you're good enough to play at a Division I, like an FBS, if you're any kind of an FBS recruit as a skill position player, or anywhere in the back seven or so, anywhere on defense, your film ought to be you just obliterating what's in front of you, generally speaking. So that's what your eyes get used to seeing. Imagine then something that far surpasses that. Like you're used to seeing a bloodbath on film. Like that's what most of them look like because they're highlight films. They're not every single play. And it's another reason why I've seen some coaches who would say, I don't want to see highlight tapes. I want to see full games because I don't want to see just your very best moments. I want to see what you're doing on play to play. I want to go see you in person, doing your due diligence, right? You don't want to just see, because sometimes also people can speed up the old highlight film at times when guys are in open. You know, if you don't verify that tape, they can speed it up a couple frames, and all of a sudden you look a lot faster. And if you do it the right way, people don't know you're doing it. So that used to be a trick back in the day. Like now they've gotten better about verifying those things. But basically, when you're looking at highlight tapes, you're looking at, you know, like a big bully burning ants with a magnifying glass. That's like the standard option, the standard package. And then imagine something that blows your mind on that scale. That's what Reggie Bush was. And that's what at times, those are the vibes. Derrick Henry's was like that. There are times where DGG gives me those kind of vibes watching the tape. And I know that at the Tennessee Class 2 AAA level, you're playing a bunch of other really good teams full of prospects. That's what it is nowadays. The amount of prospects on those private school teams at the top end of Tennessee now, you're playing some dudes. So that's something to keep an eye on. Obviously, his recruitment's going to pick up. He's going to take a lot more visits this summer. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on there. Every step of his recruitment will be followed for sure. So Tennessee and everyone else would love to have that young man, and I would like to have the kind of money he's going to have in about 9 months or 12 months, around there. I want to see. I'd like to have that. I'd like to have that. That young man's got a nice future ahead of him. Also, some news, by the way. Speaking of at least former Tennessee baseball people, I thought this was cool. Looks like Ron Washington is going to join Tony Vitello's staff with the San Francisco Giants, which two of the more flavorful personalities in the game of baseball on one staff. I am begging. You know, they do these behind-the-scenes all-access documentaries now. Like, I think, you know, like Amazon calls it All or Nothing. You know, you see other people, they just basically take these teams and they follow them for the course of a year for documentaries. You've seen, it was Chiefs Kingdom or whatever, the one ESPN did on the Chiefs, and, you know, the Patriots one they've done. And I would like to see, like, you know, the Cowboys one now that's on Netflix, which is basically a, you know, Jura made that one himself. You could tell that one makes old Jura look pretty good. Pretty good, that America's team one they've got going on there. But just a behind-the-scenes kind of all-access, spend a year with them kind of thing. Having one of those with the San Francisco Giants next season, no matter what that team does, it could be anywhere from 160 to 60 and 100 to anywhere in between. Because every Major League team wins 60. Every Major League Baseball team wins 60 and loses 60. It's the other 60 that matter. Remember Bobby Cox used to say that, you know, basically, and others in baseball have said that. You know, everybody at that level, you know, you win 60, everybody loses 60. It's those other games that separate everybody. And so you put best case scenario or worst case scenario in there. And you would win awards and print money if you made one for the Giants this season. So I don't know if the executives from all these large corporations are spending part of their Friday afternoon watching 10 at 3 or listening, but if you are, let's say it's not outside the realm of possibility, but it's not likely. But if you are, go do that documentary. I want to watch it. A lot of people would enjoy watching that. put Ron Washington and Tony Vitello and some of the other people that old Vitello's going to hire, put them in a room. Get cameras with those guys 24/7 for like 6 months. Please. I guarantee you will get just tremendous content. You're talking about someone like Vitello who obviously knows the game of baseball inside and out. Never been a major league manager. Never been a professional ball player. Played at a, decent Division I program at Mizzou. Then became an assistant coach. Then became a head coach at the college level. Now just embarking on this new journey in Major League Baseball and adding some personalities to go with his crazy personality to put Ron Washington in there, put old Wash in there. Dude, let us see it. Let us see it. I would absolutely love to see that. You know what? I'm not sure I'd love to see, Tom. I'm not going to sit here and say that I won't enjoy it. I don't know that, it's really getting my blood flowing is the Tennessee Football Bowl game coming up. I don't know, as the week gets there and whenever it's announced, it's a football game. We'll get it, we'll get excited about it. It's the last one you'll see for a few months. You're only guaranteed 12 of them. If you go to a bowl game, you're guaranteed 13 of them. And this is a place that obviously loves its football. So you're going to get excited. But now, in this era, if you're not in the playoff, especially once you've tasted the playoff, everything else kind of loses its flavor a little bit. You got to put a lot of spice on this now to get this registering on the taste buds. Once you get even close, and Tennessee last season got into the playoff. Of course, it got the worst draw that was possible, and Dylan Sampson was hurt, which that's also bad on top of it. And of course, you were out of the playoff a couple series after the playoff started for you, right? But once you've even been to that level, and this is for us covering it. Imagine the guys playing in it, getting to there. And now you're like, guess what, guys? Big news. Gator Bowl. Guess what? Guys, even bigger news. ReliaQuest Bowl. Doesn't really get the blood flowing. With no offense to the really good people, and they are good people because I've covered both of those bowl games. Really good people who run those bowls. It's not that exciting. And that's before, you get players opting out. I don't know if it's worth it. I'm about to get drafted. I don't know if I want to run the risk of getting a concussion or ripping my Achilles in half playing in the Gator or ReliaQuest Bowls. Which, again, you can say whatever you want about guys doing that. I don't blame them. I don't. And honestly, I think now you're seeing that most NFL teams don't really care either. Now, if you were to bail on your team for a playoff game, that would bother some scouts. Now, it might not bother them enough they wouldn't draft you, but it might. I can't imagine being an NFL general manager and really caring if a guy makes a business decision to not play in one of those non-playoff bowl games. That doesn't, and I know some old heads and some people that's going to rub them a certain type of way. I understand that. And hey, I'm not saying you're wrong. Again, it's not my place to tell you what you should think or what you should feel about anything. I don't want to do that. I tell you what I think, and then give you space to think what you think. I'll tell you what I know, and then I'll tell you what I think, and then whatever you think is up to you. That's how this transaction works. But it does not really. I don't judge someone for that kind of decision. Now, if you're bailing on your team in a playoff game, or if you're bailing on your team with games left in the regular season, I got an issue with that. A little bit, I do. But I'm not going to sit here and judge over. I'm not going to sit here and judge over guys doing that for non-playoff bowl games. But for the record, some predictions have started coming in. I guess I'll start with the one who's kind of against the grain right now. My buddy Mark Schlabach from ESPN, known him for a long time, one of the very best in the business, one of the best dudes too. He lives by the Go Cubs, Go America mantra. He and I share that. He's a lifelong Cubs fan. He's covered Georgia for a long time for the AJC. Now he covers college football and professional golf for ESPN. He's got Tennessee in the ReliaQuest Bowl versus Iowa. Now, I've seen some Iowa football games, including ones that Tennessee's been involved in. And you're asking me, would I prefer to watch an Iowa football game? I'm going to be honest with you. That answer is usually going to be no. Now, if there's nothing else on, yeah, why not? Let's pop open a cold one, watch some Hawkeyes. Let's watch some old school 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Always got a really good punter. Let's watch this 17-14 or 13-10 game. Who knows? There could be snow on the ground. Weird things could be happening. Now, you put that team in a Florida Bowl when it's nice and warm outside. It's not as fun then. Like, Iowa should have to play games where it's snowing or it's at least raining. Like that, it's got to be, the sun can't shine on an Iowa football game. If it's gray outside and cold, that's how all of their games should be played because it fits.
You just want them to be miserable for their bowl game?
Well, no.
Or that just fits for them as a team?
No, it just fits. It fits that mentality, right? That old, you don't think of the Chicago Bears monsters of the Midway. You don't watch those old NFL films, videos of them playing early season games, do you?
No, you don't. You usually see the snowscape field.
You see the Dick Butkus kind of every breath he takes, the snow's coming out, just hits that every single one of them now would be a fine in the NFL these days. That's that kind of Iowa just game. Their game spiritually, its spiritual existence is cold, bad weather. That fits the vibe.
Okay.
And so when you see Iowa and the sun shining, you're like, I don't know. I don't know. The only bright that should ever be in an Iowa game is the yellow on the uniform. That's the closest they get to a ray of sunshine is the gold or yellow on the uniform. And hey, that is a good football program. I'm not disrespecting. I'm saying that's their existence. They get those guys, their developmental program. They don't get a bunch of 5-stars. They get these corn-fed big offensive linemen. They play really disciplined, structured football. They wrestle you into the ground to play games at that level. They're Bane. They're born in the darkness, molded by it. That's them. That's them. But I don't want. I would rather Tennessee play somebody else. But Schlabach's got that game. That's what he's got. Now, the rest of them, few of them in particular, 3 of them in particular, have picked the exact same game and the exact same opponent. So either they know something or they've done the math and all ended up in the same place. One of the two. And that would be, of course, another old journalism friend, Brett McMurphy, from On3, USA Today's Eric Smith, and Kyle Bonagura from ESPN. All three of them have Tennessee in the Gator Bowl against Georgia Tech. Now, I'll tell you why I like that, because it's different and it's fun. That would get me more excited. Problem there. You're waiting for the but. Here's the but. But most of you listening to this probably know Tennessee's second game next season is at Georgia Tech down at Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. So that would have those teams playing twice in a 3-game stretch. Now, obviously, this is college football. Year to year, rosters are going to look different. You know, either coaching staff could be having a new coordinator, running a new system somewhere, or have players on the team that now have got them playing a different kind of way. All that's possible, right? But I don't know if that – I don't know how I feel about that. And first off, I don't think the bowl should care about that. And I'll tell you why the bowl shouldn't care about that. The bowl should only care about tickets sold. That's their job. Their job is to care about tickets sold, audience on TV. That's their job. Because you do that, you get more money. And your job as a business is to make money, more or less. That's sort of rule number one. You could say, oh, ethics and all these things. No, like, it's a business. They're in it to make money. And they would be the first of the 2 games. So that's not their problem. That's not like where you could maybe run into a little bit of a headwind there is, the ESPN family of networks, which owns the rights to all of these games, more or less now. They could say, and they own all the SEC and ACC games. So Tennessee, Georgia Tech is going to be on one of those networks next season. They could say, hey, come on now. We don't want this game. That's going to really hurt viewership for the second game of this, or that could hurt a little bit. Maybe it wouldn't, but maybe it could. And I haven't looked to see what other games are on college football that weekend. But I'm just thinking, depending on how things go, that could be one of the more interesting games of that day. So it could be in a prime time or 3:30 kickoff. We'll see, but it could be. That's not going to be like an SEC or ACC network game. That's going to be on ESPN or ABC, one of those probably, or ESPN2, something like that. So would they want that to be played two times in a 3-game stretch? Well, if it's something like Tennessee, Florida State, sure. If it's Tennessee, Clemson, sure. Have those guys play once a month. You'll still get a bunch of people watching. Tennessee, Georgia Tech. Now, historically, that's very cool because that's an old SEC rivalry. That's an old school, like Tennessee and Georgia Tech, used to play back in the day. And I think they should play more often, frankly. I think why wouldn't they? In most sports, why would they not play more often? Georgia Tech's always got a good baseball program. It's run hot and cold with basketball, but sometimes it's been a good basketball program. Football, down for a while, but now on its way up there. Brent Key's done a great job there. So I could see why when the SEC and ACC played so many bowl games against each other in Big Ten, that would affect the scheduling a little bit. Like Tennessee doesn't play a lot of Big Ten opponents in regular season games because historically that would maybe tilt the scales for bowl matchups and things, and you wouldn't want that. It's not they don't want to play good teams. Tennessee football historically, not quite as much in the Heupel era, if I'm being honest, but these things are scheduled well in advance, so it's not like Heupel's doing this on purpose. But Tennessee historically will play a tough schedule. This season was not one of those, but historically they'll play tough out-of-conference games. They just believe in that philosophy as a program. But they don't play a lot of Big Ten teams because they worry about what that could do to bowl season in terms of matchups. So I just don't know how I feel about. I don't know if that would make us just a little bit less excited to see Tennessee, Georgia Tech. Or if you want to look sunny side up, there is the possibility that is like a banger of a game. It's like 51-48, 4 overtimes. one of those kind of games, or one of those silly games where they're doing 2-point conversion things at the end of it, and it comes down to some controversial call, or it's just a banger of a game. Well, then, yeah, sign everybody up for that sequel. So, I've always said, and I believe this, that a setback is an opportunity in disguise. So maybe what you think would be, I don't know about that. Maybe it turns into, that was really fun. That was really, really fun. So there is that possibility. But I don't know. I'll tell you this, as someone, I've covered both games. I probably, with no disrespect to the fine people of the city of Jacksonville, and that includes family in this case, by the way. I got a whole lot of family in that Jacksonville to St. Simon's Island corridor, like that South Georgia to Jacksonville and over, like that kind of triangle area there. Got a lot of family down in that area. Go to St. Simon's most years. Got a bunch of family down there. I'm not disrespecting the people of Jacksonville. I'd rather go to Tampa. All things equal, I'd rather go to Tampa. But I mean, I don't think they don't poll the media on those things. I don't think they care. Hey, where would you rather go? People who cover these programs. Well, I've covered both those games. I'd rather go to Tampa. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't know. But if you go there, there's a trade-off in that you might be playing Iowa. So which one's really better? I don't know. That is a tough question. But regardless, that it looks like, depending on, unless there's some madness this weekend, which is always possible, conference championship game weekend, it could throw a couple curveballs in the mix. It could. But when you see this many people kind of pigeonholing Tennessee for one of two bowls, that's often where it ends up going. Now, things could change, and if they do, we'll be on top of that. We'll have all that covered on Sunday when all that should be coming out, because the conference title games are played on Saturday. And then you've got Sunday when you'll have the playoff announced earlier in the day. Then you'll have the next tier of bowls announced, the New Year's Six or whatever, and then you'll have the others gone in there. Now, Tennessee could have been in that next little round of bowls if it had taken care of Vanderbilt, but in case you have forgotten, that didn't happen. I don't know if you saw that. If you missed that Tennessee Vanderbilt game, I'll tell you what happened. Bad things for the Vols happened. People, if you've already tried to forget it, I'm sorry. We'll give you the whole Men in Black, look right here. But yeah, so that's where Tennessee is right now. The good news is Tennessee has signed a recruiting class since then, a signing class that looks very, very good. We'll see what's going on with the whole Legend Bey thing. It's a bit messy. We talked about that yesterday if you want to go back and watch that. But we'll see how things go there. But other than that, things look, I mean, even without him, it's a good-looking recruiting class. Now you just got to hold the line on your roster, because this is the time of year where everybody starts knowing what everybody else is making. Everybody starts knowing what everybody else is making. And I don't care what kind of organization you're in. You could be playing football. You could be doing whatever. When people start knowing what other people are making, you get problems. That's not what you want. Like that never leads to anything good. So what's going to happen now is all these guys are talking because they're young, and young people talk. They're not very good at keeping secrets. And everybody's going to start knowing what everybody else is making. And then you got, well, if you're paying him this, why am I getting this? They're like, you just paid a high school kid this, and he hadn't done anything for you yet, and you're paying me this? and I gave you 70 tackles last season, or I gave you 900 receiving yards last season, or I gave you 5 touchdowns last season, and you're paying this kid who hadn't done anything 33% more than me, you're going to have to match that for me, or I'm going in the portal. That's kind of, I'd like to tell you that it's a little more mature than that. It's not. And really, is that even immature?
Probably not these days, no.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's even immature, because you're saying if you learn that someone who has done nothing for this school yet, or you both play for this school and they may be a year younger than you, but they've done less than you and they're making more than you,
that could lead to some bad blood here.
You're matching that, or I'm going in the portal.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have some.
Maybe that's how that game is going to, how that's going to evolve, right?
Like, you have to be. We love selflessness, right? Like, it's a trait that we love in other people. We love it as people when other people are selfless. Now, we ourselves try to think of ourselves as selfless. More often than not, we're really not. Like, we are in some ways, but when it comes down to, like, hey, my family's got to eat too, man. Like, that's where it's, I don't know. Like, it's real easy to say, why don't you just take a 10% pay cut? And all these guys, I mean, you've already got money. Why don't you take a 10% pay cut? They can pay somebody else, and then the team can be better. Well, maybe if you're already making an obscene level of money, maybe if you're already toward the tail end of your career and you've got so much in the bank, or you come from a family that's independently wealthy, or, whatever. But, I mean, it's real easy to say what to do with other people's money. It's real easy. It's so easy to say what other people should do with their money. I don't do it. I don't like to tell people where to spend any dollars. Unless I'm working for a company that's specifically selling a product, I don't tell people to take their money anywhere. I don't, even if it's selling something that, like, my own company sells, I'll do it as a good employee or a decent employee. I don't love it. It doesn't make me feel good. It's not really why I got into journalism. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I'll do it, but I don't love doing it. So then you're talking about what other people should do with their money. I don't like that. It's just not, it's not my thing. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, they're greedy because they're fighting for 20% more, or what's that make a difference? When, 40 years from now, are you going to remember that you got paid 20% more, or are you going to remember that your team won an SEC title or national title? Okay, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Here's the other fair point. I break my hip tomorrow, I have a Bo Jackson deal where they just can't quite fix the thing. Or, maybe here's the other thing. I'm just not that good and people don't know it yet. So maybe there's just a flaw in my game that's going to get exposed, and I'm not very good. I'm not what you thought I was. So I'll never make as much money as I'm making right now. And you want to tell me to take 20% less right now when I might not get anything next year? Dude, go fly a kite. Get out of here with that. No, I'm not. I don't like that line. I don't like telling other people what they should or shouldn't do with their money. Now, I do like if someone does something selfless, then sure, tip the cap to them. That's a good story. And you know what, fans, I'm not going to tell you what to think, but when guys do that, and some do, when they do that, hey, give them love for that. They didn't have to do that. They just did. They did it to benefit everybody, and that's cool. But I don't think that gives anyone the right to then turn around and criticize people who want every dollar they can make for their athletic skills or any skills while they have them. So as you enter this whole portal season of all this, like, hey, you think whatever you want to think. But I'm not going to sit here and do what some others in this industry do and just tar and feather everyone who maybe goes somewhere else just to make 10 or 15% more. You know what that could mean to some of these guys? I mean, any of us, off the top of my head, if I think right now, things I could do with a 10% raise. Just things you could think about doing. A really cool vacation for the kiddos. Pay for some, put it away for college tuition, right? Like, maybe speed up that process of fixing that sunroom in my house that I really want to fix. You know, I got some stuff I got to fix back there. It's going to be some construction work, move it around. It's not cheap. Even if some of the work I can do myself because my dad's a retired contractor, there's other things I can't do and I don't have the equipment. I have to rent it. And then there's some things that, like wires, I don't touch wires. I don't touch electricity. No, sir. I do not touch wires.
See, I'm okay with touching wires, but then again, military background where I was working on avionics and wiring, it's not as scary once you kind of know what you're doing.
But like, would you?
But I get it. I totally understand.
Do you
why
have one that you wouldn't touch, like plumbing or something else that you just wouldn't touch?
Maybe the one thing I won't touch is anything dealing with like a water heater. Like I'm going to call a professional for that. That whole thing is just, it feels like a hazard.
Like
right?
a powder keg, yeah.
But I mean, the other day I just changed out my thermostat, no problem, and I had to, mess around with some of the wiring to make it get power.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
But it wasn't that difficult. You just turn off the breaker at the source and you're good to go.
I'll draw in my sleep.
Get yourself I'll draw a multimeter to make sure there's no voltage or anything coming off that line. You're fine.
Put in new floors. Do that all day long. As long as I can make sure they're level, I'll do that all day long.
No, wiring doesn't scare me for the most part, except for I wouldn't touch the circuit box, the breaker box. I'm not an actual electrician. I leave that to professionals. But anything coming off of it, I'm totally fine.
That's what I'm saying.
I know how it works.
And that's what I'm saying. So like, this is just me thinking off the top of my head, just what even like a 10% raise I would do, like what I would do personally. So who am I going to sit here and say, oh, you're going to leave a school just for a 10% raise? Yeah, maybe you will. And are you jeopardizing your future by doing that? Maybe. But maybe you're jeopardizing your future by not taking that 10% raise. Maybe that makes a huge difference in your life. Maybe that gets your parents out of a bad situation, right? Maybe that gets one of your siblings out of a bad situation. Maybe that helps you pay for grad school in a couple years. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm going to judge you for doing that. Now, I'll credit you if you don't. Like, if you don't do it, hey, man, if you want to take a little bit less money so you can load up a team full of stars, yeah, cool. But I don't know. So Tennessee's added this class. Now the real other fun part begins, which is end-of-year meetings and negotiations and all of those things. And we're just getting started on that, by the way. That's going to be for a couple weeks. Like we said next week, we're already laughing. We were laughing in the office the other day. Yesterday, I think we were, about how next week's one of those rare weeks where there's just nothing, no games, because they're doing exams, and usually basketball teams, which is good, they don't do as much during exam time. They let the players prepare for those and everything. It's just good. And then football, they're waiting to see what's going on there. So really, it's like, oh no, what are we going to do we're sitting there for a meeting, like what's going to happen? You know what? Something always happens. Something always comes up. It's sports. Something always comes up. So something will come up. It's not just like next week we'll have Monday to talk about the bowl stuff and whatever happened against, Illinois in basketball on Saturday. We'll have stuff for 5 days. There will be guys in and out of the portal. There will be weird things happening with recruiting. There will be things to talk about. There always are. There always are. And you know what? If it really is dry, no bunch of people in media. We'll just have them come sit right there, or we'll get them on the Zoom or whatever machine, and we'll talk to him. Some news here before we get out of here, though. Speaking of Tennessee basketball, J.P. Estrella now listed as questionable for Illinois, which I'll say this. Tennessee basketball is upfront and honest about injury stuff usually, so I believe that. The other part of it is questionable is where you put somebody where you're just like, if it's probable, you're saying, yeah, they're probably going to play. If it's doubtful, they're probably not going to play. If it's out, they're out. If they're not on the report, they're in. What do you do if you really don't want anybody to know? Questionable. Hey, it's a question. You're like, I'm just asking questions here. My least favorite phrase in all of journalism. Hey, I'm just asking questions over here. Just asking questions. Like, come on. If you're going to make a point, say it with your chest. Don't hide behind that. I hate people hiding behind that. I'm just the one asking questions here. Come on. You're not doing that. You can't fool me on that one. I know what you're up to. But I think in this specific instance, I think that probably means exactly what it means. That it's day-to-day. And before that Illinois game tomorrow night, Saturday night in Nashville, Battle of Bridgestone, 8 p.m. Eastern. I think they will see how he feels in the morning. They'll see what he can do at shoot-around. If shoot-around early in the day goes pretty well, then they'll see what he does in warm-ups. They'll test it. They'll do the strength tests, the agility tests, make sure he's not wincing, make sure his stats and make sure his strength and speed numbers look about like normal, make sure he's feeling okay, he's not going to re-injure it, or he's not at a severe risk of re-injuring it. And if that's the case, throw him out there. Now, what's interesting to me about Estrella's situation right now is I still think this is the time of year where discretion's the better part of valor. If you're not sure, don't play somebody this time of year. And that's, you talk to people like Tony Vitello, and that's, hey, if I don't like anything physically with you and conference play hadn't started yet, you're not seeing the field. Now, it gets a little warmer, postseason starts coming around, hey, then we're going to have some talks about how you're feeling and can you play through this and what do the doctors think. But Vitello was always, hey, especially later in his career when they always had really good rosters, he was like, I'm not worried. I mean, I'd rather you play, but if there's anything, he's like, this program's about June. So I'm not going to sit here in February, March, and April and worry about anything with you. If you're a pitcher and you sneeze, if you're a pitcher and you one time, you could be scratching your elbow just because it itches. And he's like, why'd you grab your elbow? What are you doing? You're not pitching today. Like, because that's how serious they could be about some of that stuff. Like, it's just not, you didn't mess with it. But with Estrella right now, you do need to think about the big picture. You've also lost consecutive games now, and you kind of want to win this one. It's not the end of the world if you lose it. People will freak out, and that's fine. And I would, at that point, if they lost that game, be like, okay, now we need to think, hey, it's probably still okay, could be okay, but that's 3 now. So you want to go ahead and take care of that one. And you're in your own state. You're not in your arena, but you're in your own state. Illinois is good. Maybe not great, but good. Very well-coached team, very good team, some really good athletes, a couple future pros perhaps on that team. You want to go ahead and win that game. And you saw in that Syracuse game how many times, Jalen Carey had a career night. Couldn't make the winner at the end, but still most productive night of his career. The kind of performance, or what if you had to still throw the ball down too as well? He's your most consistent offensive performer down there in the paint. Give him the ball. He's got a big bag full of offensive moves and can turn around and score off either hand. Knows how to rebound. So if that gets to become a physical game and you're struggling, you're not shooting well outside, I think they beat Syracuse if Estrella plays. But he didn't. You still should have won without him. You still should have won. But I don't think you lose if he plays. So if he can play against Illinois, I'd be like, I might be just a little bit more aggressive than normal. Not super. Like if he's not good, he ain't playing. I don't care how big of a game it is. It's still December. Conference play don't start for a few weeks. You're about to have 10 days off. Hey, if he ain't good, he ain't playing. But as opposed to where I might normally be like, if there's anything kind of wrong, we're not playing him. I might have a slightly higher threshold. I might be like, okay, even if you have a little setback here, there's still 10 days. Let's give it a shot. That's what I would think about doing. But again, not my ankle. I'm not paid to sit here and say what they should do. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a coach. I'm hardly anything. I'm just a guy sitting here talking ball with you. So anyways, that's what I would do with him. Had a good time today. We got through it. We got another week. Nothing has literally caught on fire yet. That's good. We got good stuff going on. We got another big week. Got a couple big things coming up in the next few weeks that hopefully we'll be able to tell you about next week. Got some fun stuff going on. But for now, I would normally say we'll see you in about 23 hours, but I guess we'll see you
back here next week.
We'll see you back here in 2 days and 23 hours is when we'll see you again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good weekend. Be safe on the roads.